Hello and welcome back to the Case Foundation's Facebook Live studio at the American Cities House at South by Southwest. I am really thrilled to have a wonderful partner of the Case Foundation here with us today, Jennifer Stybel, the Executive Director of the Rent the Runway Foundation. And Jennifer, Rent the Runway is a fairly well-known brand now, but I'm not sure how many people know about the foundation that's been created. And so, I was wondering, as we started out here, if you could give a little bit of a rundown of what the Rent the Runway Foundation is and what your most notable program is up to.
Absolutely, Sarah, and thank you for having me. We're so happy to be here. So Rent the Runway Foundation was created by the Rent the Runway co-founders Jen Hyman and Jenny Fleiss, and the mission is to democratize entrepreneurship for female founders. And our first and flagship program is called Project Entrepreneur, which we founded with UBS in 2015. Hard to believe that we're now in our third year.
Oh my goodness, congratulations.
Thank you. We've just selected our third cohort. So now we have an alumni community of 600 women entrepreneurs from around the country, and we just can't wait to see what the next phase will bring.
So how is Project Entrepreneur structured? I know that there are a lot of different ways that people kind of set up accelerators and educational programs and things for entrepreneurs in general. How have you set things up, and is there anything that you've changed given your focus on women entrepreneurs?
So the things that really stand out with Project Entrepreneur are that it is for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. So all of our workshops are really designed to be very practical, hands-on, digging down into the nuts and bolts of what it means to be building an early stage company with high growth potential, and how to bring those companies from beta prototype phase to that next level. And we have Jen and Jenny very involved in their amazing network of women entrepreneurs who all really want to pay it forward and support the next generation of women entrepreneurs coming up. And I should say generation using very loosely defined, because our participants range in age from 18 to 70, and they're around the country, and we're seeing 50% women of color. So it really is diverse in so many metrics.
So I know that you and I have talked a lot about, inclusive entrepreneurship in the past, and the work that the Case Foundation does around that. And that it's more difficult than just saying, oh, well, we sent this application out to a lot of different communities, right? When you're really thinking about being intentionally inclusive. Mm-hmm. So what are some tips that you have followed in terms of actually getting really great representation and creating an entire culture that's inclusive?
So that really came down to the design of the program from the beginning. We partnered with community partners, Black Founders, Latino Startup Alliance, Venture for America, and HBCU's ICE program. So from the beginning, they have advised on the programming side, and when it comes time to look for applicants, they are getting that word out to their communities. And so we've naturally seen 50% women of color applying into our classes and as finalists. And that's all really kind of happened naturally when you get them in the pipeline.
Mm. And so beyond partnerships, is there anything that you do to reinforce that, to ensure that there's a comfortable environment, and for entrepreneurs who aren't used to that, what is that kind of experience like to come into the room?
Part of it is modeling and making sure that our speakers are also representative of who we have in the room, and making sure that people see themselves reflected in who is leading and teaching their workshops and who they're seeing as role models.
Mm-hmm. So we know that there are a lot of barriers that are facing, entrepreneurs all over the place, but especially for women and people of color. How are you addressing those in this programming? I love this idea of it being entrepreneur driven, right? Because then they're talking about, this is what I face. Like, this is what, I have experienced as an entrepreneur, and how I want to help future entrepreneurs out there. Is there anything in particular that stands out to you as this was something that was really important to the entrepreneurs as we were building out the program, or any barriers that you found particularly surprising?
One of the pieces of feedback we often get from our participants is that being an entrepreneur is lonely. So they're spending so much time alone building their business. So coming to our intensive, being surrounded by 200 other women who not only understand what they're going through, but are really at a very similar stage and are able to provide support and really hold each other up throughout the process, not just for those 2 days. So that's been a real big takeaway and one of the hallmarks of the program.
And I imagine that carries into your alumni network quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Right? Have you seen anything around relationships carrying through into the alumni?
Absolutely. We get feedback all the time that, oh, I'm in San Francisco and this group of entrepreneurs who I met at the intensive, we get together for breakfast once a month to help one another. Same thing in DC, in Chicago, in Boston. And so we're going to try to create more infrastructure around that so that this continue to happen naturally and we can help move that along. And similarly, our accelerator program, which happens at Rent the Runway, we have companies embedded at the company, learning from the founders, learning from the team, and it's a very tailored program. They developed such a close bond that they continue to have roundtable discussions once every other month, and we are involved with those. So it's really great to see how these companies are supporting one another even beyond the program.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I know that there's only a certain amount that Project Entrepreneur and Rent the Runway Foundation can do in this ecosystem, right? We're all part of a bigger system at play. Is there anything that you've noticed or things in particular that your entrepreneurs say that they need, support on, whether it's from investors or other people out there that you kind of want to elevate as, we think these are some gaps that we need filling for entrepreneurs?
Certainly fundraising is always one of the biggest pain points, and that is a bigger change that needs to happen, not just from within the foundation or within our programming, but one, seeing more women investors will make a difference, even if, according to the study that came out saying that women investors aren't necessarily investing in women entrepreneurs, having them at the table of decision makers and able to share the customer need perspective so that male investors aren't having to go back to their wives to ask, which is
right.
kind of goes along with the story that Jen and Jenny always talk about when founding Rent the Runway, that the investors that they would talk to would say, let me ask my wife. No, that's not their target customer. So I think having more women at that table is going to make a difference whether or not they're making those investments directly.
Yeah, and there's something, when I was reading that study that popped into my mind, which was, we don't always want people to have to solely invest in whatever perspective that they're coming from, right? Mm-hmm. Like everybody brings a variety of different ways that they can impact an investment strategy. And, for me, it wasn't really groundbreaking that, not all women investors are investing in, women companies, because they bring so much more to the table than just, oh, I know a whole bunch of women entrepreneurs, which they still do. But I love the idea of, educating peers and other investors on what the opportunities are. And, wouldn't I much rather have it if, you took a meeting or an entrepreneur took a meeting with a male investor and he said, well, let me bring in the other investor that I have here who has a particular experience in that, whether that's a woman or a man on their team.
Exactly.
So, I think that it is a particularly busy time for Project Entrepreneur, isn't it, right now? You are about to announce another cohort, which you mentioned, and what else is next? What's coming down the pike for you all?
So we are working on the next intensive. We've got Ariana Huffington coming as our keynote speaker this year. We've got an amazing array of workshops for this class of 200 who are coming to New York from around the country. And then we'll have our third accelerator class, which is incredible to think that, already we're in year 3 and we're focused on the next phase of growth and how we're going to grow the program and develop it and develop new programs under the foundation umbrella as well.
And what types of entrepreneurs should be looking at your intensive versus the accelerator? Like, how are you fitting in various stages or industries or things like that?
So everyone who's at the intensive has a chance to be in the accelerator. So we pre-select 10 finalists who will pitch at the end of the intensive, and there are 2 wild card spots which can go to any of the 200 who want to pitch. And so of those 12 who will pitch, 5 will get a $10,000 grant and admission to the accelerator, and we are working on building that out as well.
Well, wonderful. It sounds like there's going to be some fabulous new entrepreneurs entering your network, and just absolutely admire the work that Project Entrepreneur is doing. So if you're an entrepreneur out there, check out Project Entrepreneur, and also see if you are interested in the resources that they're providing to entrepreneurs. I know that you have a busy time here at South by Southwest, and we're going to see you at a couple more events. Anything in particular that you're excited about over the next couple of days?
I'm just looking forward to all of it. It's my first time at South by Southwest, and looking forward to all the panels and meeting everybody who is coming from around the country. So, even just meeting the people who I've been emailing with or reading about for all of these months and years, it's great to finally meet in person.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jennifer, and for spending this time with us at our Facebook Live studio here at South by Southwest. And we'll come back with our last couple of interviews for the day in just a couple of minutes.
Thanks so much.